Hey guys, and welcome to the board. I wanted to go over a first round guide for the Mahact Gene-Sorcerers, starting off with a basic kind of land grab strategy for them, and then moving into a bit more of an advanced rush to Mecatol, and finishing it up with a don't try this at home, really aggressive strategy. Take a look at the back of their faction sheet, starting with their starting technologies and then going into their starting units. Predictive intelligence is really fantastic round one because you normally start with 2 tactics, 3 fleet, and 2 strategy, which means you're limited to following up 2 other strategy cards' secondary abilities. Well, with predictive intelligence, at the end of your turn, after you've dispersed some of your fleet, you can move 2 tokens from your fleet supply into your strategy pool and follow up 4 total strategy cards, which typically speaking, that means you're going to be able to follow every single strategy card at the table, and fingers crossed someone grabbed diplomacy. I think hands down this faction has the best starting technology. With biostims, if you can pick up a tech speciality planet kind of in your general vicinity, that allows you to untap it for additional resources or influence, or you can pull out some really crazy shenanigans, which we'll get into by using that tech skip round one. For your starting units, you have a dreadnought, a carrier, a cruiser, some fighters, and 3 infantry. The capacity 1 dreadnought will allow you to pick up 1 planet, and the carrier 2 can haul 2 more of those infantries into another system. You are potentially going to want a little bit more capacity than this, and we will tackle that problem a little bit later. Also, that cruiser opens up some interesting possibilities too. You're for sure going to want to do the secondary ability of technology, but that requires 4 resources, which your homeworld only has 3. So you need something to fill in the gap there. If you pick up the trade strategy card, that will, just pop that round one, no problem. Obviously, if you grab technology itself, you also have no problem because you don't have to pay for it. But if you are relying on biostims to grab a neighboring technology specialty planet and use that for a resource, you're going to want to make sure that this doesn't get used round one. As for what tech to actually pick up, I think the simplest thing to do is to try to go into hypermetabolism. The ability to get 3 command tokens over 2 is just fantastic. In order to get there, you already have biostims, so picking up neural motivators would fulfill the prerequisite and also get you 2 action cards each round. Now, something that one of the viewers of the channel pointed out, Mosar Trilar, I got that close. He pointed out that genetic recombination will also fulfill this requirement. And when you combine this with your home world that has 5 influence, you also have predictive intelligence, which can give you 3 extra votes. And with the Prophecy of Kings expansion, you're going to be drawing a lot of extra action cards anyhow. So Neural Motivators is a little less devalued because you're going to hit that hand size limit of 7 more often. I'm going to have to say that I'm wrong. And genetic recombination may be a much better alternative to neural motivators for Mahat. Let's talk about Jamur Khan. If I say it confidently, you'll believe that's how it's pronounced. When you spend the command token for a secondary ability of a strategic action, instead of spending it from your own supply, you can grab a command token from the board instead of another player, I should say the active player, and use it instead. In and of itself, being able to get out of paying for the secondary of a strategic action is pretty nice, but you're really going to want to sell this first round, especially because everyone's going to be rushing to grab as many planets as possible. And doing this will allow them to double move a carrier or another system that they would like to move out of and really let them grab a lot more planets. So you should be able to sell this to another player for a really pretty penny. And this will help make up for the lacking of resources you have from your homeworld to begin with and help you follow up maybe technology, for instance. The other thing here is this will help another player move to Mecatol Rex sooner. So keep in mind that if you're trying to get there first, you want to make sure you don't sell this to the player that's going to beat you there. Warfare is a fantastic ability to remove a command token from the board and move your carrier again, but it's really dependent on your map situation. For instance, blue only has 1 planet next door, which your dreadnought can already get, and then there's some double planets there that your carrier can get, but beyond that, there's only 1 extra planet to grab, so warfare doesn't really give you a lot. The ability to redistribute your tokens is redundant with predictive intelligence, so I wouldn't really grab it if I was in that position. However, if you're where, say, purple is, going into Abyss Freya and then going into another system next to Mecatol Rex would get you 4 planets, and that's a fantastic setup. As Mahat with your 5 influence, you're probably second only to Wanu to being able to pay to take Mecatol Rex. I think there's some better strategies for taking Mecatol Rex with Mahat, and we'll cover those in a minute. In general, I kind of am leaning towards using the secondary ability of Warfare and picking up something that gives me resources instead. Because with Predictive Intelligence, you can definitely stall out long enough to use the Warfare secondary and not be forced to pass. And you'll end up with a lot more units on the board this way. For instance, if you're in Yellow's position, you can send your Dreadnought to the south, your initial carrier along with 2 infantry to the southeast, and then you can create a carrier, mech, and 2 ground forces to go to the northeast, and that will pick up all of your starting planets. And I don't think getting 10 resources or even more than that first round is out of the realm of possibilities. You can get 4 from tech, 3 for your home system, and then you can send out your cruiser to one of your neighbors in order to exchange commodities when trade gets popped. That will get you 2 or 3 more. And then between exploring and biostims, you're probably going to pick up even more than that. Yellow's start is very optimistic. More than likely, you're really only going to need 1 more ship with a capacity to it. So picking up an extra dreadnought is going to give you a lot more oomph in combat. And then grabbing those mechs will let you explore hazardous planets without going kablooey for your ground forces. If you can't afford it, go ahead and just grab the ground forces because 12 resources on turn 1 is quite ambitious. And you want to prioritize getting tech, dread, and then those mechs are just kind of really nice to have. Now for tech skips and Mecatol Rex. If you're lucky enough to start with a blue tech skip next door like green here, that opens up 2 options for you. The first is you can get Gravity Drive, along with following up Warfare to get an additional carrier and ground infantry to reach some planets that you normally otherwise can't get to. And especially in Green's case, that's probably worth it. Those are some pretty nice planets. If you look at maybe blue or red, the only planets these open up for them really aren't worth it. They're not that great. The other option this opens up for you is taking Mecatol Rex. As we already discussed, your home world is absolutely perfect for rushing Mecatol Rex. You're going to have to kind of weigh whether this is a good decision or not, though. If you have politics, you're effectively guaranteed to take Mecatol Rex first, so go for it. Otherwise, you're going to have to kind of second guess yourself. If you're in Green's position where you're grabbing great planets anyhow, go for it. If anything, you don't get Mecatol Rex first and you just end up with some great planets. But if you're red or blue here and you're not going after a great planet, you're going to have to look around the board and see where speakers are going to align and where people are ending up to see if it's worth chasing. If you're lucky enough like blue here to find a red tech skip, you can go straight into Cruiser 2's round 1, and that is amazing. I can't really cover all the objectives for this video, but generally speaking, the 3 move, 1 capacity is going to help you a lot to get where you need to be to fulfill random objectives. Like the blue tech path, you can use your existing cruiser for 1 capacity and then build a second cruiser for another capacity in order to move and take some good planets that are within range. You can even use some extra resources to get 2 extra mechs or 2 infantry. I personally prefer the mechs. Where I think the strategy really shines, however, is you can go for Mecatol Rex turn 1 without setting yourself back too far. You're going to need 4 for tech. You're going to need some additional infantry at least. So that's 5 resources. And then your homeworld gives you the 5 influence. So you need 1 more for taking Mecatol Rex itself. So you really only need 6, which I think you can easily get by selling your agent, trading with other players, or worst case scenario, you can do diplomacy, find things when exploring maybe, or you can unexhaust something using biostims. On a much more optimistic basis, you ideally want to get to Mecatol Rex with a second cruiser and 2 mechs. The two cruisers in the air probably won't keep people away for too long, but the two mechs on the ground will, because that's going to be difficult to get through, especially if you have the time to grab construction and put a PDS on Mecatol Rex. And heck, if you put two there, you probably contain the airspace for a while too. Then you can focus on gobbling up some fleet supply tokens from your neighbors, and that will allow you to use the max ability to effectively ceasefire Mecatol Rex if anyone tries to go there. When you take Mecatol Rex like this, you're going to have to be very careful not to get the entire table turned against you. The absolute number one rule, don't take Imperial. That will instantly get everyone coming after you. In my experience, the best way to hold Mecatol Rex is through ground forces and PDS. As soon as you start getting a giant fleet above Mecatol Rex, for some reason, the entire table tends to turn against you more than if you just have PDSs and ground forces. But in my opinion, it still protects Mecatol Rex well enough until War Sun comes out and can go through your PDSs, of course. Plus, if you have a mech there as the game goes on, hopefully you're collecting a couple of fleet supply tokens so you can use your mech's ability to just prevent a player from attacking you with Mecatol Rex altogether. And deathmatch time. If you're playing a fun, casual game, please do not do this. Twilight Imperium is a very long game. It usually takes a lot of time to set up, and this will quickly eliminate a player. With that said, if you end up in a position very similar to rushing Mecatol Rex, where you have a red tech skip nearby, like the blue start position here does, go ahead and immediately go into cruiser 2s, and then following the same strategy, you ideally want to get a second cruiser along with two mechs. Oftentimes, what will happen is your neighbors, in their rush to expand out and grab as many planets as possible, will leave their home system pretty vulnerable. This leaves you an opportunity to move in with your two cruisers and your two mechs. You ideally want a combat to occur, that way you pick up a command token from them and put that in your fleet supply. What that's going to let you do is prevent them from reciprocating next round due to your mech's ability. You can immediately ceasefire it. If they pick up Warfare to remove their command token and attack the home system again, what you're going to want to do is use your cruisers to counterattack somewhere to pick up another fleet supply token and just repeat the process of your mechs ceasefiring again. The other thing you don't want to occur is you don't want them to get a second space dock. In fact, if they have a PDS in their home system or a space dock outside their home system, I wouldn't even try doing this because the risk is just too great. Ideally, you want to quickly take their home system, shut down their space dock, and just clean up the rest of their fleet. That strategy makes me feel so dirty. Please don't do that in a casual game. It's not very nice. According to my analytics, only about 20% of the people watching the videos are subscribed, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. It'd really help me out. I'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to like the video if you liked it, or hit the thumbs down button if you did not. That way I know what kind of content to create in the future. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I really hope you have a great day. Bye.